Welcome. It is August 1st. We have 5 more months of 2022, and it's my plan to make these next 5 months the best trading months possible, and I hope you'll join me in that and do the same. Today is the very first day of August. My 3 goals for trading for this month are patience, managing my emotional states, and risk management. And the reason why those are my top 3 goals for the month of August is because in July I had a really good profitable month, and somehow I completely undid that. In all honesty and transparency, I really undid it and ended up at the end of July with a net loss of about $1,500. I know that might not seem like a big loss to a lot of you, but considering I was up 5 times that amount, I really did myself in not being able to accept my losing days and walk away when my edge wasn't there. So that's my plan for August, and I am so happy and grateful that you're on this journey with me so we can see how it turns out together. So one of the things I noticed before I jump into the trade recap for today is that we here on the broader time frame, I like to look at the 195-minute time frame because there are 390 minutes in a trading session. There's 6.5 hours in a standard trading session. Divide that by 2, and that's 195 minutes. So that's why I like to look at this time frame to get a decent amount of information as to where we are headed, my levels of interest, and kind of where we're going. So if we take July, you can see here that we really had a nice move up from the middle of July, where we kind of balanced out at this 37.26 level, and then we moved up nicely all the way to 39.25, and then we kind of range traded in this area until we made another parabolic move after FOMC, shooting us upward into the 4,000 level. So one of the things that I notice with this move creates what's known as a bump and run reversal pattern. So you have a nice trend move up, and you can see the volume corresponds to that as well, where we have a lot of buying volume, and the cumulative delta also supports that. So we have pretty high levels of buying where bulls have been able to sustain value. And then after that, if we followed this natural progression, we would be around this level right about now. We would be, let's say, 40.29. But then after FOMC, we had this kind of parabolic move up, which creates the bump and run reversal pattern. And this pattern has the lead-in. So we have the lead-in bullish move, and then we have the parabolic move up, which would then be followed by a reversal move. So I'm watching this to see if this plays out, right? So my proposed target is 40.3875. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get down here, but I am just watching to see if this bump and run pattern plays out. And you can see this here very clearly. This is my copy of the Big Book of Chart Patterns. It's a fantastic PDF. I honestly don't know where I got it from, but if anyone's interested, you can just message me and I'll research and let you know how you can get your own copy. So this pattern here is a bearish pattern. So here you can see the lead-in phase. You can see the bump phase, which is this sharper rise up. And then the target is the trend line from the lead-in phase, right? So as it's breaking the trend line here, it's breaking this upward trend line where it starts to move downward, and then the target would be the original trend line. So if we look at ES has, here's our original trend line right here. Here's our bump and run trend line. And we look like we're kind of starting to break this trend line, but we are kind of almost consolidating in a 20-point range here. So I'm interested to see if we go back below 4082 and we move downward again for a leg down to this. So that's just something I'm keeping my eye on. So getting into the pre-market activity for today, I was watching ES. So on Friday, we closed at, let me just pull this in and make this a little easier for us to read. So we closed here on the 29th, rejecting off of 41.45. And then when futures opened up on Sunday, we took a nice little nosedive down to 41.12. And then as we were in the Asian session, starting from about 1900, this is the Asian session. Of course, this thing would open up. We then just kind of consolidated in this area between 41.23 to 41.11, this kind of 12-point range. Then as we moved into the London session at 2 a.m., again, I am on Central Time, so your time frame would be different. We then had a little bit of a rise up, and then we took a nice little dump down right before pre-market. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you this information that I was looking at in the morning. And I like to look at 30-minute time frames to kind of see where we're headed. So you can see that we had some expansion in London going all the way up to 41.33, but then pre-market we took a little nosedive down. And one of the things that I keep an eye on is if in pre-market, if we are taking a nosedive down, are we then having a reversal once the market opens? Because that has been the pattern that I've noticed for the past several months, is that if we dump on pre-market, then we take a sharp reversal on the New York session open, and then followed by a subsequent move down, or the actual real move that's going to happen after the market opens. So now we can see here, I'm just pulling the chart to show you the 830 level. So now market's open and we have a huge pop up here. And then we have another move down. And I'm going to, at this point, I'm going to jump in and go over my trade recap with you so you can see what I was thinking. Now, here you can see right here is our 8:30 hour coming up. So right then and there, the market opens and spikes up. So you'll notice like this theme that I've said where I see that the market and pre-market, it'll come down and then do the opposite move on open, right? So pre-market, we had this massive move downward, and now here we are a half hour into the open, and we have a huge spike up. Now with this spike up, I'm watching to see, are we going to have some continuation where we could possibly get past 41.44 and move up into 41.50, followed by 41.70. So those are the levels of interest that I'm looking at. I have an alarm set to see if we can get past that 41.34 where we rejected off of in pre-market right here. So here we are kind of just chopping around a little bit. It's really hard for me to read this type of action because right now we are getting into almost a consolidation move off the open. We've had sharp moves up, and now we're kind of consolidating and rejecting off of that 41.34 move. That is something that I'm trying to see if we're going to keep here. Are we going to move further down? Are we going to chop around? What's going to happen? So now it's about 9:02. And I am noticing, all right, this is now a consolidation area that I need to watch out for because I don't want to get chopped up here in this area. And just really watching to see what the market's going to do at this point. What is the S&P going to do? And a lot of times this gets, it may seem like it's a little boring watching and sitting and seeing what's going to happen. But what you'll notice I'm doing here is now I'm going to the 5-minute time frame, and I'm noticing on the 15-minute time frame as well that we are wicking, we're doing a lot of top wicks. So we have a top wick from pre-market, we have another top wick here early on, and now we have another top wick on the 1 hour. So those top wicks to me indicate we could potentially see some bearish action happening here. But it's a little difficult to tell. If you'll notice, I've changed my candles from solid green to hollow green, and that's because I want to be able to recognize the patterns better. And I found that having both colors solid kind of distracts me a little bit from seeing the patterns clearer as they emerge, as we move out of the supply and demand zones. So I want to see if that's going to help me for the next month. So that's just kind of like my test, why I changed the configuration of my candles here. So now we can see, okay, we've pretty much blown past that 41.34 area that I was watching, but I personally do not like to play high of day breaks. I just don't like to do it because they've been major fake out moves. And as you can see here, right now, that's what's happened basically a couple minutes later is this candle got smoked. This 906 candle basically got just smoked out. That means that sellers stepped in, they smashed it down. They were not letting that move happen. Then you can see it eventually started climbing up a little bit more. Sellers are starting to step in again and push that down. So we are never moving above that 41.40 area. So now we're at 41.30, and I'm looking to take a short position because my thesis is we are now at 41.30, if we hold below this, I think we could get back to 41.14 75, right around that ending chop area that I have marked. If you'll notice here around, there's a really good turn. So this pattern that you'll see where you have a short bullish move followed by a doji candle, the one that looks like a cross, followed by a bearish move of the same instance. Normally, if you notice that you can time as the turn of when the move starts to turn from bullish to bearish. Now, I missed this turn only because I wasn't trusting my ability to fully read what was happening here. Like they say, hindsight is always 20/20. So now I'm looking at the 15-minute, I'm looking at the 30-minute, the 30-minute. This thing is just a massive top wick. And when you have a massive top wick, to me, this indicates that we've got a strong probability for more bearish action to happen. So I'm kind of waiting to see if we break the 10 EMA right here, and also looking at price action. So now we're at 41.23, and I am just kind of waiting to see what happens because we have this huge bearish candle that has just crushed a lot of the activity that we were seeing previously on the open. So now we've got our little retracement, and boom, here I am. I am in at, I believe, 41.2275 was my entry. I'm a little bit down in the position because I wanted to get in under the 10 EMA area, and my exit would have been if we broke above 41.2675. So now the trade's working for me, and I want to see if we can sustain the bearish momentum downward. At this point, I move my stop to break even because there's no way I'm going to lose on a trade that's already $300 in my favor. So now I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens. I don't move my stop anymore because, as you've known, like what I will do is I'll watch. And if I'm going to get stopped out at break even, that's fine. I'll just get back in so long as my setup proves that it's still valid. So here the trade is still working. There's no need for me to move my stop. I'm just sitting and giving it a minute to see if price is going to break down like I think it will. I don't like to use the word think. I just like to see what it's going to do. So here the trade is still working. We're at 41.20.50, 41.20, 41.25. It's not getting up to back to that 50. Now we're at 41.19.75. It's working out nicely. 41.18, 16, 17. It's breaking down really fast, which means that there is a lot of sellers behind this move, and it's a good move to be a part of. So now it's kind of taking a minute here at 41.17. I'm debating whether to close the position, but one of the things that I'm also working on is holding to my target. Right now I'm up around, I think, 562 in this trade. And I want to see if we have enough bearish momentum to push us back down into that chop range of 41.14.75. So we are around, I think we're around $700 profit in this trade. Moving, I'm just watching it. I'm not going to move my stop either way. I will close out the position if it goes over 41.18. I'm not going to give all of that up. So I'm just watching it, and this trade is working really fast. Right now it is done. So there's the trade. It was a $1,200 trade in a matter of 3 minutes, and it's primarily because I caught the momentum. So we had this down move up here at 41.40. We had a little small pullback and a retracement, and I got in on the next leg of the down move, and I was in and I was out. So that was my trade. The one thing that I was trying to see was if we were going to have another leg up from this huge move down that we had, where I could have played the turn up. But what I'm working on this week is just booking green on my P&L. Like, I just want my P&L to show consistent green. And then the next week of the month, I will work on taking more setups as they present themselves. Sometimes you're gonna say, okay, it's one and done, which is completely fine. Like, there's no reason to go back in the market once you've achieved your profit goal for the day. Other times, if the setups are there, then I think you should keep trading, so long as your setups are there and you're on a good run. So really, it's up to you, how you want to play and manage your account. I know for me, I've had really good runs followed by crazy setbacks because I've let my emotions get out of control and I wasn't exercising proper risk management. So I'm taking it a little slower for the first week of August, because we have 5 more trading months in the year, and I want to make these my best. So then I'm just kind of watching price action, seeing what we're doing right now. I'm noticing that, okay, that 41.1475 was a pretty solid stop point. So now we're looking like we're taking a little move up. And you can see here at the bottom that the cumulative delta volume is now starting to lessen. Volume itself is starting to pick back up. Buying volume looks like it's coming back up, and I'm looking to see if we get above 41.22. But I'm not really interested in like taking a trade right now. I'm just watching what price is going to do. And here about, I think this is about 8 minutes later, price has definitely crossed over the 41.20 mark. I've noticed now price is making an ascending wedge. Sometimes when you see this ascending wedge pattern, price can do a breakdown, but in this instance, price has shot up back to 41.30. So you could see like right around that 9.38 area, if you wanted to play the turn, that's when the turn occurred back into bullish price action. So I'm just watching it here because, again, I don't trust that we are going to be able to get above this 41.40 level where we rejected hard off of twice. And I'm just waiting, watching, and seeing. So now I notice that we have kind of a flat top ascending wedge here where we had the uptrend. Now we're doing this period of consolidation. And now, as I'm recording this, it's around 1:30-ish my time. And I was looking for a price to move up into that 41.50. But after we got out of this consolidation, price just broke down. It went back down to the 41.28 area, and then we moved back down to 41.21, and now here we are around 41.10. So at this point, I'm just watching price action. So I hope you can see like how the market moves, how the S&P 500, the ES futures move, and get an idea. And once you understand how the instrument you choose to trade moves, you have a better opportunity of reading it. I know some people can read 4 or 5 instruments at a time. Like they can read the S&P, they can read NASDAQ, they can read crude oil, they can read copper, soybean. That's fine, but I personally can't do that. So I am focused on being a really good S&P 500 futures trader. So and then as I build up my confidence and my experience and my skill level, then I'll move into other futures.